Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dad Strength Podcast. I am your host, Richie Leahy. Finally finished the essential items list for new parents or for dads, as it was named when we first started. It has been quite a journey and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going through each of the items on the list, and I'm just going to kind of give a recap on today's episode as we wind down from it. And just give a little bit of background information that I don't think I've talked about before. So when I first started the list, it was kind of meant to be something that wasn't as stressful. When you're a new parent, it's kind of overwhelming. Everyone's telling you, buy this, buy this, buy this. Well, it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek list of, okay, what's essential for new dads? I'll put diapers on there. Well, of course you're going to have to buy some type of diapers. So I'll put both of them on there and we'll have people vote against them. That was the idea behind the list. I'll put generic things up. What's more important, a teether or a pacifier? Even though they didn't really go next to each other in order, I could have brought in a co-host possibly and argued one side versus another. Might have been more entertaining. But when I started the list, I wanted something to bring into the show because it gets more difficult as your child gets older and goes through things. It's hard to do a podcast on parenting without just talking about your child the whole time. And to me, that's boring. Everyone talks about their child 100% of the time, from what I've found out, other parents. So you probably get that with your friends. Now, granted, maybe you don't have any friends that are parents, and that would kind of benefit you. Well, I'm hoping that this still is like a happy medium if you stumble upon it. Again, it was supposed to be, or when I originally started this show, I thought dads would see it and kind of find it funny and maybe be able to use it as a way to tell their wife, like, hey, I've been doing some research on parenting. And they can just kind of like say what I've said. You can listen to it on your way to work. I didn't want the episodes to be that long because no one wants to sit and listen to a parenting podcast or like parenting stuff, most likely, that are dads. Well, it turns out that after doing some demographic stuff, most of the listeners are female. So it was kind of unexpected for me. So I wanted good information out there, and I wanted it, because I spent a lot of time researching. First time parent, you need to. Well, a lot of people, if you're a parent, and I'll be honest, a couple of listeners have reached out and they're single mothers. When you're a single mother, you don't have time to do research on topics. You just don't. So it's a good way, having a podcast, for you to learn. And I want it to kind of be entertainment. I know a one-man show isn't going to be the funniest, but it also was a way for me to learn how to podcast, take it from there. I also did the same thing with this list when I was coming up for ideas to fill in after the developmental guides. After that, I got a lot of great feedback on it, but there was nothing else for me to do. And I think most people understood that. And I asked for some ideas. I got some. This was the best one I had on the back burners. I pitched some ideas to some friends and some people that I knew that listened. And this is what I came up with to extend the show. Make it a little bit longer. Give me something to talk about each week without having to just tell stories about what my daughter did. Adding some of those personal things in, yeah, it's great. You can learn a little bit about me, but you also want to learn some. So just today, going to go back through the list and I'll give my reasoning just one more time why I put it on there. I know the order kind of didn't go out because I was trying to do it as a surprise list. Talk to some listeners and some friends, people who have reached out to me. And again, a lot of people found this show late. So I was getting different feedback. So I started with bottles. That was kind of like the tongue-in-cheek, like a play on breastfeeding. If you're going to be a new dad, you needed bottles because you can't breastfeed. So of course it's an essential item for dads. So I started out with that. Then, like I said, I went into diapers. Another one, just to show that the list was it was funny, but it was a way for me to talk about items that a lot of dads probably didn't know about. Next, I brought in pacifiers. I think I gave some pros and cons on those. If you use pacifiers, your children's teeth could push out, and they could have problems feeding and latching and stuff. The next one, burp cloths. That was my go-to. I always have a towel on my shoulder. ever since I became a dad. So the burp cloths was definitely one of my ideas I had on the list. Baby wipes, again, that could have went with the diapers, but it's essential. And you could use them to wipe your child's face or whatever. They're basically disinfectant wipes that are safe for baby's skin. Just don't put them in their mouth. Next on our list, where were we? Rattles. Rattles are something that, hey, it's a hand-eye toy. A lot of dads want their kids to play sports, do athletic things. Hey, rattles are the start to that. Start to work out with your kid. That's a great way. So a lot of these first ones were like items for dads. Then plastic books. Plastic books were one of mine. Again, because I remember as a kid, I liked chewing on them. I liked the taste of them. So I definitely needed to have that on the list. Then we went with the baby wipe warmer. Because in the middle of the night as a dad, if you change a diaper and that wipe is not warm, your child will scream and it's sticky. Cold sticks, man, and it's awful. Then I did stuffed animals, self-explanatory, nighttime soothers. I got a warning from YouTube that this is not advertiser friendly. So it's another one. It's like, what are you talking about? Maybe, I did tie that one in with child photography. So at this point, I think I did. I started to toy around with the idea of doing 2 topics a week. But again, I was learning on the job, and it didn't really work out, just sticking with one item. I think I did that the whole way through, up until around here somewhere. Then I did changing pads. I think these are in the right order. Then cloth reusable diapers. I brought that in. I should have brought that in the week after disposable diapers, or had someone else come in and talk about it that used them. That's what I was waiting for. But a couple people that I asked that I knew used them kind of fell through and they never came on the show. I actually never had a guest on the show. So, bathtub thermometer then, good one. Baby swings, one that helps your kid go to bed. Boppy lounger, just something to keep them up. And that's where, like, I could have used, I think I mentioned it before on one of the episodes, I could have used like those leash toys or backpacks that are leashes for your kids so you can control them. Like that would have been something funny to have on the list. Maybe like the carrier. There's like the carrier that you can go put around you and see what happens. But I didn't. I had some feedback. So like a bottle warmer, that's similar to the other ones, but a lot of dads didn't know about it. So I threw it on the list. Bibs, one of the ones that was originally on the list. I should have had that earlier. I could have done them in order, but I was just doing them randomly after a while based on what people said. Like, oh, you should talk about this one this week, and then I did it. Bassinet, that's something like your child, help them sleep. The baby monitor, of course, most people are going to use one of those. You can use your phone nowadays if you just get a USB camera. The diaper rash ointment, that's something that every parent should carry. I know adults that use it too to help with like rubbing and chafing if you're having issues with that. So of course it's going to help your kid. Then the most recent ones, musical toys with flashing lights, stacking rings, teethers. These are all pretty recent. So if you've been listening to the show, if you just found it, those are ones that are probably fresh in the listener's mind. The car seat and the stroller, I was going to keep them off the list. Definitely got some feedback that they should be on there just because of how educational and helpful the show is for, like I said, single mothers can't do a lot of research. And I appreciate the love and the support because this is something that's helped me as a parent learn, and that was my goal behind it the whole time. So now that the essential items list is over, I'm going to go ahead and probably unwind with the podcast. I think I'm going to end the show at 50 episodes. It's not the fact that I don't like doing it. It's the fact that I just don't have much more to talk about. As a parent, I don't want to keep going and have a 500 episode show. Because whenever you're a new parent, that's who this is marketed to. I'm going to go ahead and I'll talk about it next week a little bit more as we unwind. But tell your friends. You can have them start with any of the episodes in any order. But I'll talk about the update and things and how the episodes are going to end. But I definitely want 50 real episodes. That was the list recap. Go to ranker.com, type in Dad Strength, reorder the list. everything's on there. Vote up and down. Pictures will be updated. I think I have pictures of everything up. Not 100% sure. Busy. But thanks for listening. I'm your host, Richie Leahy. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you next week.